friends, this is Grace and welcome to another process video. This is number 54 for me and it's entitled This Almost Never Happened. So this is my third layout using my June homemade kit, and I'm starting off with these chipboard letters from Maya Road, and they're raw chipboard letters. So that means that they don't have any color in them, and I wanted to spell out this and happened, and I was going to ink it up. Now the reason why I'm doing this was because I wanted to emphasize the word this and the word happened on my layout, on my title. Unfortunately, with the sketch that I was using and the amount of other things that I wanted to put in this layout, my initial vision for the layout didn't really happen. But you will see me struggle a lot with trying to make sure that I get everything that I wanted in there, and it will eventually work out. So I have a small color box cat's eye ink pad in like a dark brown, and I'm just inking it up. This is the easiest way for me to ink all of the letters, and I didn't bore you with all of the other things all of the other inking that I did with that. This layout is also based off of Sketch, and I believe this is from Stuck sketch blog, and this was their first sketch of the month of June, and I think they post two a month, one in the first week and then another like on the 15th, and I just didn't have time to make this before the 15th, but I am using a brown cardstock as my base, and then I'm using this is a solid color backing of a pattern paper from Simple Stories. It's not a pattern paper. It's not a cardstock, but just a solid blue from a pattern paper. And then I'm using the black kind of different angled stripe, I guess you should say, as the black one in the center, and then I'm using two different kinds of blue pattern paper, and I just cut them I think it was 5x7 that I cut them. And so my original, you will see here that the original sketch that I'm following had everything kind of in the center, vertically and in the center, and that's what I was trying to do here. But I had a lot of things that I wanted to say about this layout, and so I printed my journaling on this scallop kind of craft paper that I found in my stash, and I wanted to do them all vertically like the sketch, but it just didn't happen because I had too many words and I didn't want to cut out any of my words, and I will tell you why in a little bit. And so I'm just kind of playing around with this, and then you will see me change my my design a little later. And then I also added those kind of homemade photo corners on the two edges of my layout, one on the top right and then bottom left, and they are fabric strips from Studio Calico. And I'm just trying to add the word happened on my layout, and I decided to do that with vellum, but it's still not going to work because it's just covering up some of the words that I have in there. So here's the deal with this layout. This layout is very important to me because this event that happened with my son when he was in third grade, so this was about 4 years ago. This was one of the turning points of our life, and I say that because my oldest son has always been a little delayed with his development, and we just always thought that he will outgrow it. And this was his third grade year, so you know how they say third grade is kind of where the kids really transition, and as far as in elementary school, because the first few grades they were still baby, there's really not much of expected with them, and if there are, it's really kind of, a lot of the teachers are very forgiving about that, and third grade is when they really have to focus on their schoolwork and do a lot of work on their own and things like that. And So this is the year where we saw a lot of changes that's happening with my son's peers in school, and then he just couldn't cope up. And finally, after this incident happened, um, we got him checked, and he was initially diagnosed with ADHD, and then just a few months ago, so this happened in 2012, so he was diagnosed in 2012, and then just now in 2015 we got the diagnosis that he has mild autism. Anyways, going back to this event, this was supposed to be a very I don't want to say fun event, but this was one of the events at my kids' school where they have a monthly, they write an essay about a certain character that they're focusing on that month, and then whoever has like the best written essay um, gets to have a lunch with the principal, and the lunch is pizza and soda, and that's one of my child's favorites. So we were so excited, and it just happened to be that both my son and my daughter had the same month that they were featured, or that they had the the um, the chance to have lunch with principal. Anyways, so my daughter had no issues. She went over where they were gonna have the lunch, and they sat, and he sat. I mean, she sat and was enjoying her meal. And then I see my son walking down from the hallway, and he started to have this kind of anxious look about him. And then I went over. The reason why I went over because I wanted to take a picture of the kids, because this was kind of um, a reward for them. So I wanted to take a picture, and I was there. Anyways, he had this anxiety look about him, and I asked him why he was stressed, and he says because this is what because this is not what he normally does. So it was basically a break off of his routine, and he couldn't get himself to go and break off of his routine. It was just too hard for him to do that. And I gave him an option. I said, you can either go over here and enjoy this, or go over and go to your class. And he decided to just go to his class. He went with his class, go do his routine. But then he was just he basically he was sad that he's missing out on this. And long story short, they had to call in the counselor. The principal was just didn't know how to help him because he was so distraught. And I was there, so to help him, appease him, they said, well, we'll have your mom sit with you and have lunch with you. And of course, I didn't have lunch, but I did sit with him. And this was one of those turning points where I said, okay, this is not normal. This is not what a normal third grade should be doing, and should, just he was so anxious just because this was off of his routine. So I needed to write the story down because this was important for us, and especially for him. And so I did not want to break the words up of all the things that I had written there. And so I deviated from the sketch. And I think that that's important, especially when there's a story to tell. Um, Let me tell you, I admire those people that have all these fancy products and the techniques and all these things. But sometimes it breaks my heart to see a scrapbook page without any journaling on them, because there is a story to every picture. And that's basically my driving force on why I continue to scrapbook, is because there are stories to tell about each of my children, about me, about my husband, about our family, that I want to document. And so that's what I do. Anyways, so changing the subject, going back to the layout, I know that's kind of this was a hard layout for me to do. As you can tell, this was a picture in 2012, so I didn't scrapbook it till 3 years later, and I'm fine with that as long as I remember what happened, and I can still document everything that had happened even years later. Then I'm fine with that. It's just I feel like there are some layouts that cannot be done right off the bat, because it's either it's still hard for somebody to do, or it's just you don't have the words or the right way to do it. And I felt like that's how it was with this layout. I didn't have the right words to say, or I just felt like it wasn't time yet to document it at that particular year. So anyways, the word happened was too big for that part. So what I did was I overlapped some of the chipboard and then just adhered the ends of it over the layout. Now, I was going to put in this almost never happened. I was going to say that because if he didn't have, you know, gotten over his issues, then this picture never happened, because then he wouldn't have had that lunch with the principal. Anyways, I felt like the word never should be changed to didn't, but if I were to do that, because that was a negative word, I mean, that was a past tense word, then I should have used the word happen. And so I did this page changing the word never to didn't, and then when I was taking a picture of it, I realized that doesn't make sense. The word didn't is already past tense, and then I used the word happen, which is also a past tense. So because the word happened is a bigger word, then I went and changed the word didn't to never. I went back to my original title to this almost never happened, because that sounded grammatically correct than the other one. And then I also stamped some butterflies, because butterflies to me just means kind of coming out of your comfort zone, and so that's what I decided to use as my accent. And in this part, I had stamped the one big butterfly and two small ones, and I couldn't for the life of me find the other small one. But then right after, of course, right after I restamped it, that's when I found the other one. So I just pushed aside those items that I had stamped and moved on. And I also found some circle accents and tags from, or I mean labels from LE Studios, and I added that there. And I used all those accents as my visual triangle. And with the big butterfly, I used a button and some twine to the centers, and then on the smaller butterflies, I'm going to add some snaps on them, and I used some orange snap. Now, the table that I use is a plastic 6-foot table, and so it's not really good for hammering, basically, because it wouldn't, I don't know, it just bounces back. So I tried to do it here, but it wouldn't work. So I'm just going, I have a little wood bench on the side, on my left side when I'm creating. And so I just turned my, I put my layout on there. Um, Oh, here I'm going to try to use my crocodile, but it's not long enough for that space. So you're going to see me off camera do the snaps. And if you've never use snaps, it's actually kind of an old product. It's basically you put it on like an eyelet where you punch a hole first and then you put it in, put it through, and then you use the hammer and kind of like a fastener item, and then that's how it closes up at the on the back of it. And so I'm about done with the layout. I'm just going to be adding some a little bit of splatters on the edges of it, and I think I'm going to call it done, or maybe I'm going to add a few more. Oh, I really love that sticker, tell the story, because I told the story here basically, and I think that's it. Or maybe no, I think I'm going to add a few more. Oh, I'm going to be adding the date, and I don't know exactly what date this was, so I think, what else am I going to do with this layout? Oh, I'm going to add some word stickers. That's what I'm going to be doing. See, it's been a while since I've done this layout. I think it's been over 2 weeks, and I'm just now doing the voiceover. It's been crazy summer for us so far. Our June has been packed. Anyways, yes, these are word stickers from, um, where is this from? My Mind's Eye. And they are from the Mildred collection, and I'm just adding some words that corresponds to the story, and I think that's gonna be it. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, you guys. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you sharing this journey with me. This layout is one of those layouts that are very important to me. and one that makes me grateful that I scrapbook, because then I get to document this portion of our life. And yes, thank you for watching, and if you would like to see more videos from me, please subscribe and hit the thumbs up, and I will see you when I see you. Thanks again, guys, and have a great day. Bye.